All right, welcome to another episode of Stop Money Anxiety Now. This is episode number 7, a live podcast run on Spreaker.com. And the title today is The Importance of Slaying Your Money Demons and Why the World Needs You to Do It. All right, welcome back to another live broadcast of the Stop Money Anxiety Now podcast. I am your host, Wei Hong from the Six Figure Academy.
And I'm Jessica, also from the Six Figure Academy.
And this is the podcast where we give you real-world tips, strategies, and interviews with some amazing entrepreneurs like that one we have on today that's going to come on in just a few moments on how to eliminate the destructive money habits, anxiety, and stories so that you can create a prosperous and abundant lifestyle in business free of financial stress and worry. So awesome. We're back again. How are you, Jessica?
I'm great. How are you?
Oh, hey, so much better today. So you didn't go to Coachella or any other
No,
stuff?
I actually don't. I feel claustrophobic when I'm around like really large groups of people. And so I don't think I really enjoy myself if I ever went.
As opposed to like Lucidity was more expansive.
Yeah, just a lot more intimate. Wait, would you ever go to Coachella? Have you ever thought about going? No?
I've never felt a desire to go. I mean, I have a lot of friends. I actually have a lot of friends that go.
It's a lot of different industries. Coachella's kind of like a networking event.
Yeah. I mean, and the tickets, because they're not cheap, they attract a specific type of... That's why a lot of my friends that are well-to-do, they buy multiple tickets at once.
Yeah, it's quite the investment.
Yeah, and they all go. And for them, it's like, okay, cool, Coachella again. Let me spend a few $1,000s. I'm like, okay, great.
No biggie.
Right?
Well, how was your weekend? What did you do?
I actually got back to playing volleyball. I was actually playing volleyball on Saturday on an indoor reverse co-ed and realizing how old I am.
Wait, reverse co-ed?
What's reverse co-ed? Basically, the guys don't hit. They can't hit because playing on a women's net. So we only pass in sets. So we're playing the reverse as opposed to normally the females would set and pass the ball, and the guys would attack. So it's reverse. So all the girls get to attack.
I did not know. Yeah,
it's
I don't play
interesting.
volleyball.
I like it a lot because it helps me work on my defense game, and
nice.
It gives me a reminder how important it is for me to move my body, because coming into this week after having not played in so long, I found myself like in this place like, oh, cool. I'm more energized. I have more energy coming through my system, my clarity. So, you know how we talk about the 4 bodies of prosperity. The physical body has been neglected over the past few months coming out of hibernation from winter. And then I played again last night.
Okay, so now you're getting into... Aren't you going tonight too?
No. That was last night.
Yeah, that was Monday night. Oops.
And beach volleyball is always good because it grounds. The importance of grounding to help you convert sales and actually create success on this planet.
Yeah.
So my excuse is, okay, cool. I go out to play beach volleyball. I get to play, enjoy my sport, and also I get to ground.
Yeah, I know. Running for me, well, once I kind of get that slump of not having run for so long, but once I get into the system of running, it becomes almost like these like meditative thoughts start coming through, and by the end I just feel so clear about the chatter that goes on in my mind, and it's like and the habit is trying to keep that into a habit, like doing that on a regular basis. But I mean, the sun is shining. I thought it was going to rain today, and I'm just really happy the sun is out and about.
Right, exactly. So I mean, it gives us a whole new perspective thing. There's a horn honking outside. Do you hear that?
Is it outside?
I think it's outside. Okay, anyway, so for those of you who don't know, we actually do this in the office over here at the Six Figure Academy. And, here's the thing. For those of you who are just joining us, we are actually doing this live. So if you want to join us and chat with us and chat with our guest today, pretty amazing guest. He's actually, this should be a really easy thing for him. Unlike past guests who are like nervous, this is like nothing to him because he speaks on stages all the time. But if you want to go to Spreaker.com, you go to this, there's an app you can download as well where you can on the go or while you're at your desk, you can listen and you can actually chat. What you do is you go to the chat screen, type in your questions every day, and you can correspond and interact with us on the fly. If you're not sure, you can just basically punch in a question right now and just say hello, tell us where you're coming from, and then we'll be more than happy to convey those questions over to our remote guest, who is actually calling in from Colorado. So I want to, because he needs to leave before the show is actually over, I want to actually get him right on board right now, and then we can continue our conversation about other things. Like, I kind of want to touch on the whole United Airlines thing. I know I made a video about it, and it's coming out pretty soon, but we might as well give a little preview on that. But that's a fun little thing about how entrepreneurs should pay attention to that. But today we have a really dear, good friend of mine. I often refer to him as like a brother from another mother, because he's half Chinese, so we're not like full brothers, but maybe half Chinese. And his name is Jon Block, and he's the CEO and owner of, founder of the Speaker Venture. Speaker Venture, which specializes in helping entrepreneurs kind of break out and grow their business through the platforms of speaking and presentation marketing. And, you know, one of his big things is, you know, helping people craft their signature talk and everything. I'll let him go into deeper about that. But, you know, Jon and I have actually we go back probably well over 4 to 5 years now. And we were actually introduced to each other by his wife. And well, you know what, before I go even deeper on that, because we've been around each other for so long, he's had me on his stage to speak a few times to help, you know, empower and inspire his audience. We can go further in terms of describing our little past, just to bring him right on right now. So welcome to the show, Jon. Are you there?
Hi, Jon.
I certainly am. Wei and Jessica, so great to be here. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, no, thank you.
We're excited to have you.
I know, we were like a little bit worried at first because, you know, he had to call in because you're over in Colorado right now. How is the weather in Colorado right now?
It is super gorgeous right now. It's
really?
Southern California, gorgeous. I was chuckling a little bit when you talked about your winter in Southern California.
Right.
Or winter, in quotation marks.
There, but our winter is definitely complete, and the snow season, I think, is done with us until October. So it's like perfect right now.
Yeah, I lived in Colorado before, and one thing I did not miss with the microstorms that happened from one moment to the next, you could never leave the house without different alternative clothing options in the car. I mean, you couldn't.
So you had like a closet in your car?
Basically, you always had to have an umbrella. You always had to have an extra jacket or or a t-shirt. So you just layer up, you know, and just kind of like you like move around your day in layers. Have you? I mean, you've been there for like a year. It's over a year now, huh, Jon?
Yeah. So Ronnie and we moved from San Diego a year and a week ago. So it was just about, we just crossed.
Holy cow. I could have sworn it was just yesterday, because you guys hail from San Diego, which, you know, which is where I've been, you know, spend most of the time in. And Ronnie, for those of you who don't know, is Jon's beautiful wife, and she's the one that actually had the intuition to introduce us at an event where Jon was speaking as an expert on the panel. I think it was Jesse and Charlotte's event over at Thrive, right?
Yes, that would have been, I think, 2013.
Oh my God.
Early 2013. So like you said, 4 years ago.
Yeah. Wow. Has it been 4 years already?
Yeah.
We've known each other for an academic generation already.
Wait, so what made you and Ronnie move out to Colorado instead of staying in California?
It's evolution. It's a simple answer. I'm a San Diego native and felt that I had grown to the point where I had grown as much as I could being in San Diego, where there's a few factors. So one is a family factor. As blessed as I am to have parents live 10 minutes away from us in San Diego.
Is that really a blessing?
Well, you can tell they're before coming, right? So as blessed as I was to have that, to see them at least once a week, it did feel constricting to me. And then all that past can come with family, and then having my sister, 2 brothers and their families, and we get together on a regular basis. It is truly a blessing. I love them dearly. And I felt stymied a bit from growing into my next level just by having all that family around me. The other way I felt suffocated, in truth, was the preponderance of the coaches that are in San Diego. How much of the coaching industry is based in California in general, and specifically NorCal and SoCal, but there's a seminar every single weekend, multiple seminars.
Right.
And I found that because I place such a high value on trusting your own path, and it's something that I empower my clients to do as well, that it's just harder to do that when there's so many voices saying, do this, do this, do this.
Right.
I don't care how independent you are. It just makes it harder to follow your own path when you have voices shouting at you at all times. So I just found being here in Colorado, where there's just so much less of that, and I can really dive in deeper. I love being in the mountains and just lock into something that's a lot more true for me.
Yeah, I mean, and it's amazing though, despite being around all those coaches, I mean, since 2011, you've actually personally mentored and helped over 1,500 entrepreneurs to use public speaking, right? To help them increase their revenue and make impact, right?
Yes.
Wow, that's amazing.
Exactly.
And and it's interesting because it reminds me of when I I used to work in the real estate industry, and I first started going in. People were saying, "Oh my God, why are you going to that? It's so competitive, so competitive." And when I got in there, I realized it wasn't that it was so competitive. There was just a darn lot of people there. And I think, Jon, despite having been around, I think you probably have seen that. Even though there are a lot of coaches out there, I mean, literally, someone can wake up one morning and says, "I want to be a coach," and they just label themselves as a coach, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's one of those things that's unique to our industry where I make the doctor comparison a lot with empowering coaches, where that is our role. If you think of the good doctor, we are the caretaker for others. And as a coach, the commitment isn't to close them and upsell into program after program after program after program.
Right.
It is to be their guardian of what's possible for their life. So a doctor has their field of specialty, and a coach, whether it be in business or dating or what have you, has their unique specialty. And there are some glaring differences too in how one becomes a doctor and a coach. Like you just said, a doctor has to go to 12 years of school, undertake their Hippocratic oath, and there's a real process to really earn the right to call yourself a doctor, whereas someone else could just call himself a coach just on a whim. And I can't knock it because that's exactly what I did.
I would say that those who make it as a coach, I mean, it's even more, I would say in this day and age, it's even more difficult to make it as a coach because you really have to demonstrate a level of expertise on it. Whereas as a doctor, not to say doctors aren't great, but I mean, we all know, we've all encountered doctors that weren't so great, right? But we see them as authority just right off the bat because they went through all that. They went through the trials and the tribulations and the quote unquote hazing, medical hazing, so to speak, to get into becoming a doctor. So, can you talk a little bit about that? Because I mean, you've been since you've started. I mean, you've spoken to hundreds and hundreds of stages, and you've had accolades of like being a top 20 conscious entrepreneur in 2013. Jesse, I mean, who we both know, basically said that to the world that you care so much about making a difference to people that you're willing to risk anything and everything. I mean, so there's got to be a reason why you've been able to make it so long and being able to create a success for yourself. Because since I've known you, I mean, your success has doubled, tripled, even quadrupled since we first met, right?
Yeah, I'm very blessed to have the life that I have now, where Ronnie and I could just on a whim essentially move to Colorado just because we felt like it. I know how astounding that is for people when we meet them here.
Oh, that's huge.
Move here. We felt like, and we had the freedom to do that. Why I have the skills with speaking to any room full of people and be able to generate $10,000 plus from any speaking engagement, not from a keynote paid gig, but getting paid nothing, but being able to develop a relationship with an audience such that I'm able to create clients every time. And a lot of that has to do with the fact that I truly care and really I'm so committed to people, as Jesse said about me, to making the biggest difference possible for their lives, whatever it takes. I think commitment like that is rare, and it's not to pat myself on the back. It's just a fact that most people aren't want to go to the mat and do whatever it takes and be their most authentic version of them to serve others. And I think that's been the most important quality for any of the success I've had with creating the multiple six-figure lifestyle and being able to travel all across the country and speak on all the hundreds of stages. I would say the other factor, of course, which we're going to get into today, was slaying the money demon.
I mean, way to get right into that, because I was just asking. I mean, this show is all about money anxiety, our money demons, and money blocks, and then crappy money stories. So tell us your story. I've known it. I've known you for so long, so I mean, I've heard it a few times. But really, I would love for you to share what your story is now that you've now that you've had even further detachment from that original story.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think you'll definitely hear some things that you haven't heard before, Wei. And I was really feeling into this. What new layers can I reveal? This is stuff I've never really told anyone before.
Ooh,
so my belief is that my belief to start with is that everyone has to track their relationship with money. It's just one of those things that just serves you well. So, for instance, if you want to have a loving, committed marriage, it would serve you to learn the lessons of previous relationships.
Right.
So you can really clearly define what it is that you do want and how you can show up at your very best in that marriage. And to my mind, money is just as much of an important relationship as your spouse is. In some ways, it could be said that, I'm sure you would not disagree with this, that it's even more important because it's with you from the very beginning to the very end, right? A spouse can come and go, but we have to have a relationship with money at all times. It doesn't mean that the money is more important than your spouse, but in terms of the relationship, how pervasive it is throughout our entire lives, it's really hard to top anyone that's going to be around. More so than our parents or any other relationship, money is going to be around. So,
at least in the time that we've been born into, right? I think if we were born into like Star Trek future, where money is no longer a means of exchange, then things would be different then.
Yeah. Maybe Scotty will beam us up the Enterprise and we can get away from all this. But in the meantime, I'm trusting this is part of our path and that we have certain lessons that we're meant to absorb. And so for me, it really starts with being born to parents who were very successful. Now, this has always posed a challenge with me sharing this story because it doesn't fit the typical rags to riches, I came from nothing like Tony Robbins and now look at me now type story.
Right.
But my situation was I was very fortunately born to successful entrepreneurial parents. And I did not have the lifestyle, though, where it was, okay, whatever you want, kid, we'll hand it to you. You want a big screen TV in your room? Absolutely, we can afford it. It wasn't like that at all. My parents laid it on me that this is our money, not your money. And if you are going to really make a life of yourself, it's got to be on your own. Like, we'll support you. We'll send you to any school you want to. But it's really do whatever you want as long as you're really successful at it. I think a large part has to do with the upbringing of a Chinese mother and a Jewish father.
That's like a double threat, a double whammy.
I really got hit from both sides with that. Now, it's a blessing in many ways because the love and commitment to family is really there. Well, love a certain expression from them. But the financial pressure that comes with that, I'll just share that both cultures are known to be really exceptional with money and perhaps thrifty when it comes to like how they spend it. It's one reason they get to be so successful is the fact they're so conscious about it. And it's just a clear presence within. This is by no means a racist assertion, I think, at all. This is just a cultural fact. Yeah, that it's just a big part of it, like your relationship to money and what it says about you and so forth. So for me, there was that pressure because my father and mother had both surpassed their parents in terms of income significantly.
Cool.
And I had this view from growing up with it that I was to surpass my parents as well. And I had a lot of pressure that I put on myself that perhaps is common among men born in America in particular, is that we associate our self-worth with how much money we make. It's compounded with the fact that I had to surpass my parents at a $10 million a year international company.
Right.
So I chose to go into the very stable, guaranteed success field of Hollywood screenwriting. My parents thankfully subsidized me to go to USC Film School. That's what I wanted to do with my life, was to be a screenwriter. And what happened was that for my entire 20s, I did not make a single dime from screenwriting. I was living off couches, crashing with my parents, my grandmother who lived in Monterey Park, which is reasonably close to Hollywood. That was my lifestyle in my 20s. And my mindset at the time was really just ravaging my whole well-being, frankly. Saying that you're a loser, this is the one thing that you wanted to do with your life, and still, year after year, you can't make any money at this. And it's been said that Hollywood is the one town where you can actually die of encouragement. There's something about it where they'll just give you enough positivity and enough like, oh, you're so close, just keep at it, that you'll just keep hanging around year after year after year. And as I was approaching 30, it really hit a crossroads with me where, okay, is it more important for me to make it as a Hollywood screenwriter or to actually enjoy my life? And this is a very adult decision, I think, to come to, because as kids, we're not really taught this. We're taught, follow your passion and the money will show up. I think there's a bit more to that. I think that's one aspect.
Wait, you were taught that to follow your passion and the money will show up?
Yeah. Are you surprised by that?
Well, a little bit, because mine wasn't like that at all. Remember, my dad chose my major, and he basically said, sometimes a job, you don't have to like it, you just got to do it.
Right. So I'll qualify that. It wasn't my mom and dad saying that so much.
Okay.
Like, whatever you want, as long as you make your own money at it. But I think there's just a lot of messaging that we get in American culture, certainly from TV and successful people just sharing their formulas for success. I think nowadays, with all the different mentorship you can access online, people can appreciate that it is more to it than just following your passion, and the money will follow.
If you build it, they will come.
That's the ultimate career advice to succeed as an adult, was just follow your passion. So that's why I went into the screenwriting thinking that, okay, the success will be inevitable. And I'll never know whether if I had stayed in it, things would have turned around for me. My sense is they would have, but I wasn't willing to wait around for my life to start. And there was the fact that I saw my friends buying their first homes. I saw them getting married. I saw them buying a new car for themselves, which is completely unfathomable to me, as I was couch surfing with all my college and high school buddies that would let me stay on their couch as I was writing my screenplays.
Wow.
So at that point, I turned to personal growth. And the money story is ravaging me throughout. Go ahead, Jessica.
So what was that pivotal moment where, you had spent the past decade, kind of being in this motion of wanting to be a screenwriter? So what was that? Was there a one moment where you're just like, I can't do this anymore? Like, I need to do something else? Yeah,
actually, thanks for asking. It was at a Chinese restaurant in San Diego on Convoy called China Max.
He remembers the exact name.
It's quite the pivotal moment.
Tuesday evening, I was at dinner.
Oh my God.
That's awesome.
With my mom, my dad, and my sister. And my dad, so a bit about my dad, whom I love. He's 88 years old now. Wow. I'm the youngest of 7, right? So he is 88 years old, and he came up in the Great Depression. That was like his decade. He was born in 1928. And he created his business just purely on his own work ethic and intelligence, right? He was able to make it happen. So he saw himself as a mentor for me, and to some degree I saw him that way as well, given his success. So we would have these check-ins about my screenwriting. How's that going? I think part of him saw me as an investment that he had made.
Right.
Me, USC Film School. I was an investment.
Yeah.
So he was checking in on. He would say, well, what's the latest progress and all that. And that was just a regular part of our relationship. On this particular night, though, I guess he'd had enough. And he said to me, your screenwriting's at a dead end. What else are you going to do? And that was a jagged pill to swallow, because I couldn't really say to him any longer, at least I felt, I couldn't say any longer to him, oh, just give it some more time, or this was any day now. I couldn't. It would be just delusion, I felt, to say that, because I had no real evidence to say, like, oh, why this month is the month, or this year is the year for this.
Right.
And so it was really my dad kind of laying it down and saying, we're not going to support you anymore, because at that point I had moved back in with them. And they're saying, you got to do something else with your life. That's what my dad said to me.
Wow. So where did you, what was your thought cycle then? Where do you begin?
Well, my first thought is well, this is pretty much the death of doing work that I'm passionate about. It's like I had my shot at doing something that I actually cared about.
Right.
And now it'd be okay, well, I guess I get a job everyone else does when they grow up at some point. Sure, mine took a few more years longer than most people. Most people just graduate college and immediately go right into it. Mine took to my late 20s to concede the inevitable, right? Which is, if you're not in that 1% or less that actually makes it, then the rest of us just get jobs. That to me was the alternative. And I could either get a job in the film industry as some low-level lackey, even though I had no real like administrative type skills, and I would be on the outskirts of it and maybe one day, fingers crossed, break in, or I would just quit the industry altogether. And that just seemed the less painful of the two options, was quit the industry altogether. So then what happened next was I watched The Secret on DVD, which, regardless of your opinion of The Secret, what stands for me was that in the moment it was like, holy crap, I'm not the thoughts rattling in my brain. I actually can have some management over my own mindset. And what I focus on will expand. That was a whole new revelation for me. I watched it 3 times in a row that night and just took pages and pages of notes, I was just going through it again and again and again. I want to soak in as much of this as possible. And eventually I went to seminars. And for me, the Landmark Forum was the first one. And that's where I met Ronnie, was actually at Landmark. And that's where the work dove in much deeper. Now, by this point, I had started a career as an event promoter. I had started going to music and arts events more just for social reasons, because just being behind my computer all the time, writing screenplays and then sending them out to LA to get rejected, I felt that I wanted just to get out with people more. And because I do think of myself as a creative person, going to these local music shows and art galleries seemed like an enjoyable thing to do. And then while there, I decided, you know what, I want to actually do one of these events myself. I want to host them myself. So I created an event series called Sight and Sound. And this ran from 2008 to 2011, where every single third Saturday we met. And it was, speaking of Coachella, that was one of my inspirations, because I did go to Coachella at that time. I went for 5 years in a row, actually. I was a Coachella guy. And I wanted to bring that to I don't think you knew that about me either. I went to at a local level. So Sight and Sound, as the name implies, was about the visual arts and about the music as well. And so I did that, and while the events were successful in that I would draw regularly 100 people or more to this monthly event, and then I other events, like I did a rooftop rock show. Sorry about that phone ringing.
I was about to answer it. I was like, is that my phone?
So then I did a rooftop rock show. I did a New Year's Eve masquerade ball during that time. And at the same time, I never netted more than $10,000 in a year from this. And to trace back to the money demons, man, it was just ravaging me, because here again was further evidence that I'm just not good at making money, is what the only logical deduction to make at this. That some people are meant to be successful, and I was not one of those people. It's law of attraction. Mine was the law of repulsion, right? That might start coming.
That's what you got from The Secret, the law of repulsion.
Well, I wasn't able to apply the law of attraction, so that's why I deduced that mine was the law of repulsion. That money would start coming towards me, and the last minute just say, just kidding, and then you turn and bolt the other direction. That's what it felt like, was my just lot in life. And that's when I really dove deep into the seminars further. And
I appreciate you saying that, because, as funny as it is, it's actually a very real circumstance for a lot of entrepreneurs. You said it more succinctly and more beautifully this way, like law of repulsion, because that's what it feels like. And I'm surprised more people have not coined you saying the law of repulsion, because I bet you that is a very common malady, the law of repulsion, when it comes to money. You should almost write a book
it was
about
a belief that if it was going to happen, it would have happened by now.
Right.
So were there any specific
Go ahead.
Were there any specific instances where now that you had realized, that concept of law of repulsion, were there any like moments where you can recall, that moment I didn't realize that this was happening, but I was moving away from the prosperity that was coming my way?
You mean ways that I was activating the law of repulsion in my life?
Yeah.
Gosh, the mindset had so much to do with it. That's why I love so much the work that you guys do, where that mindset of, well, I'm just a failure, or it's so hard to make money at this.
Right.
And so people would say there's no money in the arts, or people would rather pay $30 to go downtown to watch a DJ than they would $10 to come to a music show. And it's just so messed up. People's priorities are messed up. And I was just doing this lot of blaming and shaming and making wrong around me. And I just know that from a strictly an energetic standpoint, I didn't have this consciousness at the time. But yeah, that was definitely repulsing people, because this guy is just so negative, right? Even when I'm talking about my events, it's like in the context of how crappy the other events are, right? That's just where I went with it.
Yeah. Wow.
It had to do with insecurity and feeling unseen and unappreciated, and just this kind of like a teenager personality that I think is played out with a lot of adults, frankly.
Right.
Where I was still stuck in.
Yeah. So how did you ultimately? How did you realize that those are the components that was what was going on, and then when you decided, and then what you decided to do to slay that money demon?
So going to Landmark, I went there while I was doing the music and arts events, and I went there ostensibly to figure out how to make more money as a music and arts event promoter. That was my reason for going there.
Right.
And I was, I guess, smart enough to get the basic understanding that I was somehow getting in my own way with this.
Right.
That it wasn't about like going to event promoter school, even if there was such a thing. It was about going to work on myself and seeing how I could go my own way so that I could make a lot more money as an event promoter. What happened, as is frequently the case when we do personal growth, is that the thing we come in for is different than we ultimately gain from it. And as I really addressed this money mindset, this belief system I had, all the stuff I was sharing, law of repulsion, I'm just not good at this. If it was going to happen for me, if I was going to be successful, it would have happened by now.
Right.
Saw how all that was just made up. It was all just my past experiences where I just used that to gather evidence and just deepen my own interpretation of who I am, my limitations. I was just racking up story after story, and it's one of those nasty, vicious cycles that I was stuck in where I would have a belief of something would happen. I get the belief about myself, and then something else would happen that would enforce the belief of myself. And because I had this belief, that would be what would show up for me, is because I had to back up the story that I had. I really took on untangling that in a big way. I recognized that this money demon was going to be the pivotal relationship in my life.
Yeah.
I was going to determine where I lived. It was going to determine if I got married at all, kids, like everything was going to hinge on this money relationship. If I didn't figure this out, I was going to be completely screwed in terms of having a great life.
Right.
Okay. And that's why I love the work that you guys do, again, because it is about having a real respect and appreciation for money and really bringing us in this new paradigm of what it means to have a relationship with money that is healthy. And that recognition that I had was like, I got to have a healthy relationship for money, which is so different from saying like, oh, I want to score a bunch of Benjamins and prove the world.
That's the name of my new song. What are you talking about?
Get my gold grill in my mouth.
Mine will have Asian gongs on it, so it's not just the grill; it's a gong. It's just like gong away. Every time I speak and talk about money, get gong.
Oh no! But this is, it's ever since I've been working with the Six Figure Academy and being around Way, it's been really interesting seeing the talk around money, or how people are becoming triggered just using the word money. The other day, like I was having a conversation with my friend, and he was saying like money this or money, I'm gonna make all this money, but 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 I'm not, it's not for this and that and this. And it's like, well, no one's assuming that you're going to be an evil person if you're going to make a lot of money or associate anything negative about you. It's,
right.
You're an amazing person. I'm your friend because of that. And I wouldn't assume that, so it's like, why does it?
So he actually, before anybody said anything, talked about all the evil aspects of money, which then is like part of the reason why it's part of his reality is a shadow, right? Which is kind of a little bit about what you're talking about there with the demons, right? Those demons are lurking back there the whole time, and they're not always present, right? They only show up when it comes to decisions, when we have to start making decisions about money or bring in sales and stuff like that, right? John?
Yeah, I mean, it sounds to me that there's almost like an apology he has to make for prosperous, or like when business owners say, well, got to pay the bills, I got to keep the lights on. That's why we talk about it.
Yeah, baby needs a new pair of shoes.
Right? But why not just own the fact that I want to thrive?
Yeah.
I want to be rich in life.
Yeah.
That's a lot more honest.
Right.
But that fear of being judged around green personality.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, we encountered a little bit of that over at Lucidity, right? The fear of being judged, being presented. I don't want to make money.
Yeah.
Right? So we literally had somebody say that at the last talk I did. John, someone said, just interrupted my talk and just said, I don't want to make money.
Seriously.
Yeah, and I definitely was probably one of those people too, where especially with screenwriting and music and art, where it's easy to adopt this perspective when you're not making any money, just to feel better about yourself, that you're somehow noble or better than others who are making lots of money.
Nobly poor.
And that
nobility of being poor.
Some level they're doing it for the wrong reasons.
Right.
Sacrifice something in the quality of service they deliver to others, when in fact it's just the opposite. The more money you have, the usually the better quality service you can bring to others. You're not scrambling in survival mode.
Exactly. You can show up more fully. So what happened? What happened after you started to slay your money demons? I know you obviously, and maybe we'll go back a little bit later, share a tip that you did, but what happened after you started slaying your money demons? What happened as a result?
I just want to share how I actually went about it. I think that is important. So I took this on, and this is what I really encourage anyone to do who resonates with anything I've shared. You feel you have your own money demon that you need to slay. It's that you got to wrestle that dragon to the ground, whatever it takes. Even if it friggin' kills you, you're not going to let the dragon beat you. That's what it takes. This is an Olympian dedication. Every single day, be conscious of this and work on it. And make it so that you're no longer a slave to the money relationship. And so for me, that meant reading every book I could on the subject, going to seminars. So two that stood out to me. It was one, the book, The Soul of Money by Lynn Twist. You guys have read that book?
Which one?
The Soul of Money by Lynn Twist?
No, I haven't.
No. The Soul of Money.
Okay. That's the best book I've read on the subject of money.
Okay.
And really adopts a spiritual perspective. Helped me detach so much from this notion of like, oh, there's a certain amount of money that I have and I can't move it around because what if I lose it and I don't get it back? It really presents me to the bigger picture of it, that yes, money's meant to flow. And if you want money coming into you, you must allow it to flow. And this really opened me up to this notion of investing in myself, which I'll get to in the next piece. Another seminar I took that, while I'm not the biggest fan of this company, but I do think that their intro course is very effective, is the Millionaire Mind Intensive.
Oh yeah, it's a T. Harv.
Yeah, the T. Harv.
Right? Yeah, I've never been to his stuff, so it's interesting to hear about it.
I'm not a big fan of their upper level courses, and I actually discourage people from taking them. Their practices I'm not a fan of, but the content that they deliver inside the Millionaire Mind experience, if you're dealing with this issue, for me, it was really powerful and illuminating, just seeing how much story I had layered about myself in this area. So there's just two examples of what I did to wrestle this to the ground, saying abundance affirmations. I mean, I tried anything and everything, what it was going to take, whatever's going to take. So I can't pinpoint any one thing, because everything I possibly could, and all cumulatively helped. One key thing, though, was the decision to invest in myself. Right. Where I've been doing Landmark, and I hope that Landmark helped me make more money. And while it did change my mindset in the sense I was able to use my mindset instead of the other way around, it hadn't done anything to help me make more money being at Landmark. And this to me is a limitation actually of Landmark, is that if you really want to grow your career and have a bigger impact in the world through your business, you have to go outside of Landmark.
Right.
And this led me to a free seminar hosted by Thrive Academy, which is, of course, how you and I ultimately met, Wei.
Right.
But when I went to this seminar, it was in early 2012, and it was a free seminar, which is about how much I could afford at the time. So I was at this free seminar, and then taking lots of notes, and the whole seminar was on how to make money as a coach. Because by this point, I decided that music and arts really wasn't it for me anymore. Partly it was the whole the past I had with that, and I felt like I burned so many bridges that I kind of want to start over in a new industry.
Right.
Another reason was the fact that I could actually own that I wanted to be wealthy as a coach, and there was a lot less judgment about it, which to me is important. We want to have an environment that really calls forth for our greatest expression, and I felt that being a coach would allow me to be a better leader, a more confident person, a truly more heart-centered person, and I could really own the fact I want to make lots of money. And as I was seeing in the seminar in particular that Jesse was that you actually could make really great money as a coach. Compared to the judgment that was in the music and arts and even with the screenwriting, this was a much better arena. It felt a lot better to me. Like I wanted to play in this sandbox. Right. But then Jesse made the offer for a $4,000 program. That's if you wanted to really master what they call client attraction and being able to create clients. It was a $4,000 investment. At that point, I just shut down and said, well, clearly I'm not meant to do this. I can't afford this. I'm not meant to do it. I got through being here, and it's time for me to leave because I didn't want to really hang around anymore beyond that. It just kind of felt I was taking advantage or something. And I felt, all right, I got enough good content from this. I'll take off now. And as I was leaving, I remember it being in the doorway, about to exit. And then something led me to stop in the doorway. And I knew that what was on the other side of that doorway was my familiar life. $100 per month. This frustration of like trying cold calling to get coaching clients. Getting so frustrated when people would say no to working with me, and I could feel that the relationship was actually worse off now as a conversation.
Right.
Like all that was waiting for me as soon as I left these doors. And then the other part of me knew that, well, what if I did not choose that route, just to go back to what's familiar? What else would be possible? And I pulled one of their staff members aside, Missy, who is one of the angels in my life. And we spoke. She was working the registration table for Thrive. She was their full-time employee at the time. And we spoke for an hour and a half in the lobby of the DoubleTree Hotel. And I expressed all my concerns. And what I credit her so much with was that her relationship with making a sale with me was so clean. There was no pressure whatsoever. There was just genuine listening and respect. And based on what you shared, this is what I think would be the best course for you, right? And I said, let's do it, right? And I ended up buying 2 courses instead of 1. Right? Very generous payment plan across 11 months to be able to make this happen for me. I used a room on my credit card. And the first event that I went to was Client Attraction Mastery. And coming out of that weekend, right, where I learned went deeper into this clean relationship with money. And this is why I say Missy's one of my angels, because not only did she inspire me to say yes, but really how she did it was showing me how you could actually have a sales conversation in a place that was not pushy. It was coming from true love and respect, and I'm committed to your greatness. And I went deeper in that Client Attraction Mastery because she's obviously a product of the Thrive culture. So Jesse spent 3 days with us on this, how to have this conversation to where I really got it. And I had this notion I had to close people. It was like an arm wrestling match where I had like their arms down, or like a chess match where like I had to beat them. That was my notion of closing. And there were some very pivotal moments with bringing me up on stage and calling me out on some of these perceptions I had. And with Thrive, one of their commitments is to transform the sales culture on this planet. And what happened was that I got cracked open in a big way. I remember there were a lot of tears that weekend. I was fired up too.
Yeah.
And speaking engagement I did, I was able to create 10 clients from that. Now, bear in mind, I pretty much had like one session at a time type clients here. And I created a package at $1,200 and I sold 10 clients. I got 10 clients in at $1,200 and created $12,000 in revenue in 3 weeks from one speaking engagement.
Right. So nothing like breaking the pattern with a chunk of money, right?
Yeah. The reason that part is so important, I believe, is that eventually the dams were going to break for me. There was this pressure or perturbation that was happening where I've been doing so much work with this wrestling my money demons and really committing whatever it takes. I was going to have a healthy, empowered relationship with money, right? And even though the months dragged on longer and longer, and just like I had flashbacks to my screenwriting, months and months dragged on, like, when's it going to happen for me? Sure, I had that thought process while I was getting my coaching business going. Yeah. And at the same time, it was different because I could tell how this was actually growing me as a person. Right. I knew I was on the right path. It felt right to me. Versus screenwriting, I felt myself becoming more bitter and resentful. Right. Yeah. With coaching stuff, I could feel that, okay, being here, like, I'm learning a lot. I am growing. The relationship with money is being transformed in some way. And I had this, even though there were some painful moments of self-doubt there, please don't get me wrong. There were painful moments of self-doubt. But I had this higher recognition that it was inevitable for me. And then the physical evidence did show up finally with the $12,000 that I earned in 3 weeks, which more than covered the investment with Thrive. It gave me the confidence that I can make money. That was the biggest thing for me, that I'm not broken or unredeemable in this way of actually generating income. Yeah. I can do it. If I can do it once, I can do it again and again and again. And that's what's happened.
Yeah. Wow. That's, I mean, I heard versions of the stories a few times, and this, it still, blows my mind, and it's pretty powerful in terms of how everything kind of went. But one thing that stood out to me was, we're talking about slaying demons and everything, and you made a reference to, Misty being an angel. And what's kind of interesting is that a lot of people don't realize this, at least in the stories that man created about demons, a lot of them were like fallen angels, right? So, I think it's a really cool thing to point out, to the fact that, when we're wrestling these money demons to the ground, and we're just like, like you talk about the dragons and the demons, but it doesn't mean that you kill them, because they become transformed. We forget that these demons were there for a reason, to protect us, to find, it was our interpretation or perspective of somehow protecting us on some level. But then when we actually get back into rapport with it, we wrestle to the ground and said, hey, look at me, listen to me, we're in this together. They may rise from the ground kind of like, and show up kind of like how Missy did, like an angel. She could have been representative of one of the demons that you finally slayed, and then transformed her, or whatever the demon was, into an angel.
Yeah, that's a really great perspective to share on a way. And I believe that traction is one way you can look at this, or success breeds success, even if success is not monetary at all. But the fact that you are progressing as a person, you get these indicators, these auspicious signs. And that'd be one of my pieces of advice, is just to become obsessed with the auspicious signs and the angels that are around you, the people that are pulling for you, that can see you as something greater than you see yourself. Treasure these relationships. Go deep with those people and the situations.
I mean, and you're exactly right. Just having that awareness, I think that's the big key, is that, we all have our journeys to go through. And what separates people who evolve and grow are those who are actually paying attention to what's passing them by. Because, as Carolyn and Mister always say, we're never not serving our purpose, no matter what it is that we're doing in life. The question is whether or not you're paying attention, right? And I think when we finally wake up and start to pay attention to everything that we've gone through in life is a gift, no matter how much of a struggle or how happy or how painful it is, it's a contribution to to our path in terms of where we ultimately want to go. And I love that you said that, success, whether it be, includes money or not, I mean, success as we define it can be supported with us slaying our money demons. Just because you don't make $1 million doesn't mean you can't be successful making $500,000. Just because you don't make $500,000 doesn't mean you can't be successful making $250,000. And it's all perspective. I had a little bit of an epiphany when I was thinking about our talk we're going to have today, and I was in meditation. I said, it doesn't have. Not everybody has to be 7 figures or 8 figures or 9 figures, right? We can be solidly deep into 6 figures, leverage that, and still create a significant impact in our world that we live in.
Oh, that's definitely one of the messages I put out there at Speaker Venture. And any opportunity I have is that don't buy into someone else's notion of success.
Right.
That is death to your spirit and your own unique essence. And I think of internet marketers are probably the most guilty of any right now.
Look at me, look at me.
Yeah, they just see someone who is, allegedly to use their slang, killing it online or crushing it.
Right.
And they'll want to be like that person, and then they'll emulate them, and they'll buy their products trying to be like them. And then the success rate is just astoundingly lousy with that. We're talking less than 1% of those people who buy those products get any semblance of great results.
Right.
And to me, the reason for it is that they ditch their own inner wisdom, their own guiding light within. They didn't nourish that and bring that out and determine what their path should be. And that's what anyone who's done is create great success has done that. So we can't be focused on, get to 6, 7, 8 figures. We got to be focused on what's true, most true for us, what lights us up, what provides great value to people. How can we solve problems in a way that no one else does, right? Those are things to get excited about.
Yeah, and that's why at the Six Figure Academy here, we always talk about lifestyle, the 6 figure lifestyle, not just the 6 figure pile of money that's sitting on your table. It's like, that's what we're working towards, to have a pile of money sitting on the table. So I know you just mentioned Speaker Venture, and I know you have to get going a little bit in about a few minutes. So I want to give you an opportunity to really share where you are now with Speaker Venture, and I hear you actually have a gift for our audience as well, for those who are listening to this podcast.
Absolutely. Well, what I didn't get to share fully was that the reason I was able to earn the $12,000 from that speaking engagement was that I finally learned how to create clients and I learned how to speak to an audience.
Oh, you didn't know how to talk before? You're just like,
I knew how to open my mouth and make sentences come out. So that was English. And as I discovered, just like anyone who goes to Toastmasters for years and years and their business doesn't grow, there's more to it than that.
Oh, absolutely.
There's really a craft to using the platform of speaking, which is the most powerful, I believe, in the world when it comes to creating relationship, generating leads, joint venture partners, and yes, creating clients and making lots of money. It is the most effective way, especially when your work is you're not selling tires, for instance. You're really about transforming lives and going in with your service and really making a lasting difference in people's lives. There's no better way than public speaking, and someone like Steve Jobs certainly got this as well. It's hard to imagine the impact of Apple without the Steve Jobs presentations, or as you go throughout history.
His keynotes, right?
Yeah, or Martin Luther King being able to inspire audiences without doing any public speaking. Doesn't happen.
Right.
That's the power of public speaking, and my belief is that's applicable to any business, and that's why Speaker Venture got created. So that's what I've been doing for the last several years now. And it really stems from the fact that I had that breakthrough of a lifetime, speaking to an audience and being able to create $12,000 in revenue. And doing it again and again made me want to dedicate myself to other people getting out of their version of their money demon story and being able to monetize from stage. And I love it because of who people evolve into from joining us at Speaker Venture. They become their greatest leader. They evolve into that, the greatest self-confidence, their ability to see people and truly care for them expands. Their business skyrockets. We've had people go to 6 figures in their first year when they were kind of like how I was, just like $500 a month before they started with us. So we have 3-day live events. And here's my invitation if you're listening to this. We have 3-day live events that we host around the country. So I would love to invite you to attend one of our 3-day live events and to make sure this is the right fit for you. So this is not a cattle call type of event and there's nothing wrong with this, it's just not our model, where we just want to give out free tickets to everyone and get as many in the room as we can. For us, my view with this, and the whole Speaker Venture team backs me up on this, is that we want the right people to be in the room, that you're there because you really want to grow your business through speaking. You see this as a calling that you have in life. You know that you're meant to make great money at this. You want to have a family of speakers, a true network that's got your back, that will do anything for you, right? So it takes some curating to really make sure you're one of these people. And that's why I do the one-on-one speaker breakthrough sessions. So my invitation to you is, if you feel that Speaker Venture might be a fit for you, that attending one of our events, being a part of our community, getting this transformation would be valuable to you, to just email me. So you can email me at jon@speakerventure.com. That's Jon @speakerventure.com, and just mention this podcast, and I'll be happy to do that one-on-one speaker breakthrough session with you. And this will be a complimentary thing.
Awesome. Okay, so really basically all I have to so all I have to do is go to email you at jon@speakerventure.com, mention the show, and they get a full complimentary speaker breakthrough session to kind of help them see how they can incorporate more speaking to help their business grow.
Exactly right. We'll be breaking down the speaker model, how it applies to your business. There's one reason I like doing these one-on-ones, is that I'm able to customize to exactly what the person's business is and how speaking can be used to monetize it in such a greater way. Another gift I'd like to share is just for emailing me and getting in contact with me, I'm happy to gift you what is our Bible for public speaking, which is the template for the signature talk.
Wow.
I haven't said too much about that in this conversation, but the signature talk really is the system that we use at the time, that I use, that all of our clients use, such that we're able to generate $10,000 plus from stage. It's really detailed. It walks you through it. So I'm happy to share that with you as a complimentary gift for anyone who emails me.
Oh, wow. That's even better. So you just sweeten the deal even better. So again, I mean, and I have to say, I mean, just to support what Jon is saying, I mean, if you really want to kind of like handle those money, there's no faster way to get it than to start speaking. One of the first things that's going to come up is when you speak and you're making an offer and you don't have your demons handled, it will show up. And if you're paying attention, it is an invaluable moment. But in that moment, you're speaking, you're making an offer, and you haven't had all your demons handled. All that gets triggered. There's no faster way also to get rid of those, slaying those demons, than have them activated while you're speaking. Doing one-on-one is cool and everything, but there's something magical when you go up there and you're speaking to one to many. Not only to convey the message of your business, but also to continue to, I mean, it's almost, for me, it's like a little slice of heaven for me when I speak. I don't know if it is for you or not, Jon, but it's like when I go up there and I speak, and you and I, I speak a lot, and just being up there gives me that moment of, ooh, whatever's going to show up is going to show up, but also gives me an opportunity to pay attention to what else I need to work on, which is fascinating. This is why public speaking is so important, not just for the growth of the business, as you've talked about, but also the growth of yourself, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And while I know it's scary enough for people, one of the contexts I have for public speaking, and we have ways of getting through this fear too. Like it's the number one issue that we have to address from the very beginning. Right. But for me, I think of it in a positive way, like jumping out of an airplane. Yeah. Or people ask, "Oh, you ever skydive, Jon?" I'm like, don't need to. I speak for a living. Every time I get up on stage, like I feel like I'm jumping out of an airplane. But for anyone who has jumped out of an airplane, what I hear, it is like that slice of heaven that you're talking about, and it is a rush. And to me, it's even more fulfilling than that, because it is about transforming lives, making a difference for people, and making a great income in the process.
Awesome. Awesome. Well, Jon, you're obviously passionate about what you did. And of course, my brother, you are always welcome to come back. This is like the second time you've been on my podcast. And again, there's a couple of times I've been on your stage as well. And I always love serving your people, because, I mean, you've cultivated an amazing culture there. So, just a reminder, make sure that you guys take advantage of this gift, this generous gift from Jon. A couple things, Jon at speakerventure.com. We'll put that in the comments. And then by reaching out to him, you'll also receive another gift on top of the complimentary speaker breakthrough strategy session to see how you can incorporate public speaking into your business in a way that actually can 10x your business or more, right? Mm-hmm. So amazing stuff. Thank you so much. I mean, this is such a cool little session. I know you have to go, so I want to make sure that you get to your next call. But is there any last thing that you'd like to share? Any gemstones on top of it? Because you shared a lot already. But is there anything else that you'd like to share? One last thing.
Yeah, I'll leave you with one last thing. I would say that the world needs you to step up more now than ever. It's about so much bigger than your own fears or discomfort level. Just accept that that's part of the journey.
Right.
But the world really needs you to step up. The world needs you to slay your money demons. The world needs you on stage, speaking your truth, making a difference for people in this age of hype and just fake news. What we need is genuine thought leaders who are committed to making a difference, express themselves fully. That's what this world needs. So that's my invitation, whether we ever talk again or not, but that's my invitation to you.
Yeah, thank you so much. That's powerful. Jon. The world does need, everybody has something unique to bring. And thank you, Jon, for making that commitment to step away from Hollywood to, share this with the rest of the world. I'm sure you and I will continue to connect, and we need to catch up offline as well. But again, thank you so much for being on the show, Jon. I really appreciate you sharing your gifts, your knowledge, your heart. And I hope all of you who hear this to definitely take advantage of this generous gift.
All right. Thanks, guys.
All right, cool.
Thanks, Jon.
You can go ahead and log off. I won't be mad. You can jump off right now. All right. Wow, that was pretty awesome, right?
Wow, that.
Okay, cool. So definitely take advantage of that. We're going to post that on the bottom, all the different things in the comments below. If you have any questions, Jon will actually have access to all the different comments and everything. So feel free to leave comments if you're not hearing this live. And just a quick little reminder, we actually have an event coming up. For those who hear it this week, we have an event coming up called the Millionaire Millionaire Brain Yoga, where I'm going to be facilitating with the illustrious Brandy Vale. We're going to post the link on that below as well, where we can actually where you can sign up and join us live this coming Sunday, April 23rd. Mm-hmm. You don't want to miss out, because there's some really cool techniques if you want to kind of unlock. The theme is going beyond six figures, which is really, really cool.
Yeah, really a lot of interactive activities throughout the whole day. It's from 11 a.m. to 5 p.m. and it's just jam-packed full of just activity after activity to get us in that mindset.
Awesome. Okay, cool. So that's it for this week. The importance of slaying your money dragons and why the world needs you to do it. Hopefully you got a lot of cool gemstones. I look forward to seeing the comments below. And again, this has been another episode of Stop Money Anxiety. Thank you, Jessica, the co-host.
Have a happy Tuesday, guys.
Have a great week, and we'll see you guys all next week. Same time, same bat channel, Tuesdays at noon Pacific Standard Time. Peace.